This is a very difficult time. It's an international tragedy which has hit very close to home, to our home here in Wichita.
Heavy hearts as we learn more about the people lost in Wednesday night's deadly collision of a flight from Wichita to Washington, D.C.
Sad day for our community, sad day for our country. Because of the devastating consequences.
Investigators look for answers, as many are left with questions about how this could happen.
Why in the world was this helicopter and jet flying at the same altitude?
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Julia Thatcher.
And I'm Jeff Herndon. It's now been more than 24 hours since the worst aviation disaster on U.S. soil in nearly a quarter century.
64 people on board an American Airlines regional jet when an Army Black Hawk helicopter carrying 3 soldiers slammed into it. Both aircraft plummeted into the icy Potomac River. Rescue teams say no one survived.
So far, 40 bodies have been recovered. Divers will work with the NTSB tomorrow to conduct more searches and begin salvaging the plane and the chopper.
Up-and-coming figure skaters, Olympians, hunters, and a civil rights attorney. Tonight, we are learning more about the people on American Airlines Flight 5342.
And one of those individuals, Kia Duggins. She was Miss Butler County, not once but twice. She went on to become a civil rights attorney. KSN's Peyton Steiner is live at Eisenhower National Airport tonight. And Peyton, what are you learning about Kia and her remarkable life?
Jeff, Julia, Kia Duggins was well known in Wichita as a social rights advocate and general upstanding citizen. Duggins graduated International Baccalaureate from Wichita East High School. She went on to study at Wichita State on a Barton Scholarship, and in 2017, she sat down with KSN for an interview about student advocacy on campus. After WSU, she went on to Harvard Law School and graduated. During her academic career, she interned with Michelle Obama as part of the Let Girls Learn program. She graduated from Harvard and pursued a career as a civil rights attorney in Washington, D.C. She was set to start a job as professor of law at Howard University, writing in a statement, "As a civil rights lawyer, she dedicated her career to fighting against unconstitutional policing and unjust money bail practices in Tennessee, Texas, and Washington, D.C. Her loss is being felt across the county as a bright light of nothing but potential." Former Sedgwick County Commissioner Lacey Cruz wrote in a post on Facebook, "She was a brave and beautiful soul, a light in the fight for civil rights. Her loss is heartbreaking, not only for her family and friends, but for everyone who believes in social justice and equality." Outside of her academic career, she also competed in Miss Kansas and won Miss Butler in 2014. We reached out to friends and family to discuss a little bit more about what she was like and how she worked to make the world a better place.
Yeah, Peyton, it was just 24 hours ago here at this exact spot. I was just starting to learn the gravity and depth of the tragedy we would lay eyes on. That's when I spent the majority of this afternoon learning about a staple in the Kiowa community, a couple named Bob and Lori Chirac. They tell me, the friends and loved ones of the family tell me that there's no one like them when it comes to generosity, and their loss is going to take some time to heal. Text messages to a Kiowa couple, now the last conversation their friend is taking with him.
Love and respect and appreciate both of you very much. And all he said is, Lori and I are blessed to know you and look forward to catching up when we get home. So that was our relationship. Just a good man, good family.
That conversation, a thank you from Michael Simpson, a longtime friend of Bob and Lori Chirac. They helped him start a Christian alternative to foster care, lending him the resources to make it happen. Michael says his pain is still nowhere near compared to the Chirac's daughter, Ellie.
Biggest heartbreak that we both have been praying about is their daughter, because I can't imagine how lonely that's going to feel.
Ellie, a student at Villanova. Her parents would routinely take the flight to D.C. on their way to visit her near Philadelphia. One of her best friends, Grace Cantrell, says Ellie's parents were like a second set to hers, and waking up to the news is paralyzing.
Unreal feeling of numbness.
Mourning for moments the Chiracs will now miss out on.
All the things that her parents won't be there for, like her wedding, her first boyfriend, first kid, she's planning on going to med school. If she becomes a doctor, they won't get to see her achieve that.
Those who love Bob and Lori want them to be remembered as generous people of belief and would want others to know they are at peace.
I know that if there's one message that Bob wants ringing through this world after he's gone, is put your faith in Christ.
You know, I'm told that a family has flown out to the East Coast and over towards Pennsylvania to be with Bob and Lori's daughter. Now, I want to take you to a special moment. A gentleman asked if he could come over to the table and write his prayers and respects for those that lost their lives, even placing a ICT pin there you can see on the table just moments ago. Back over to you, Jeff. Julia.
Okay, Derek, thank you again. That table is set up for anybody that would love to give condolences to the victims' families at Eisenhower National Airport. Not sure how long that table's going to be there, but everybody's welcome to go out, fill out a Post-it note, or leave some flowers as well. Okay, names of all 67 victims in the plane crash could be released tomorrow. Governor Lori Kelly says her office expects to get the list of passengers Friday afternoon.
Yeah, right now, though, we do know one of those people works for Cargill. The company says the employee and 2 outside legal partners were returning home from business meetings. Fowl Plains, a waterfowl outfitter out of Great Bend, posted on social media that 7 of their clients were on the plane. A post on social media said, quote, "We have spent this past week sharing the blind, laughing, talking about our families, and sharing memories. We are completely heartbroken."
American Airlines has deployed its care team to Wichita and D.C. to support victims' families.
We're devastated, and I know that everyone is hurting. I arrived in D.C. earlier today and have been in constant contact with our team, government officials, and first responders, and want to thank everyone who's given their time and compassion to supporting these efforts.
Now, while it has been more than 24 hours since the crash, the investigation into exactly what happened is still in its early stages.
And we are joined right now by Andy Fox live from Washington, D.C. And Andy, there are new developments. Investigators have found black boxes.
Yeah, that's right. We had 2 black boxes. They reported, NTSB did, that they had the black boxes. They've taken them to the NTSB lab, and they will be going over it to get all the information out of it to be part of this massive investigation.
Where do recovery efforts stand right now tonight, and are they making the kind of progress that they had hoped for today?
Yeah, the recovery continues. Not all the bodies have been recovered. That is part of a process, and we don't have an exact number of how many, but at least 33. And that's the number that we know right now, and we should get an updated number, and there should be more recovery tomorrow.
I've got one more question for you. What is the NTSB saying,
Yes.
and why are they hesitant to release additional information?
Well, that has been one of the big headlines today with Donald Trump. He wants information right now in the NTSB, and I have covered the NTSB on several occasions. They are very slow and methodical, and that's part of their process. And they are saying we have to investigate this and let the facts take us where we need to go, and we hope to have some type of a preliminary report in 30 days. Of course, Donald Trump wants it yesterday, and he made that clear that he wants not only that, but he wants to know about what's going on in the air traffic control tower. And that was a report also released that perhaps at the time of the crash that they did not have the manpower up there to handle the situation. Now, that's part of the investigation. I don't know all the details about that, but that is from an FAA report that was reported by the AP.
All right, Andy Fox reporting for us from Washington, D.C. Andy, thank you so much. Senator Jerry Moran works closely with the NTSB and the FAA. He chairs the Aviation Safety Subcommittee. Moran says the most important thing right now is to get the report from the National Transportation Safety Board.
But the NTSB is at work. They were at the airport last night. They were, in a sense, staying out of the way of the rescue effort. And they are at work today. And we have met with them and had conversations with the chair of that board on several occasions, maybe 4 or 5 now since last evening.
He says because the crash involves both civilian and military aircraft, the Department of Defense is involved in the investigation as well. President Donald Trump seemingly blamed diversity, equity, and inclusion policies for this crash. During a press conference this morning, the president said Biden and Obama-era initiatives lowered requirements for air traffic controllers. He claimed the FAA recruited workers who had, quote, suffered severe intellectual disabilities.
The FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's just the opposite.
Trump also took aim at former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. He labels him as a, quote, disaster. Buttigieg responded by saying in part, quote, despicable. As families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying. We put safety first, drove down close calls, crew air traffic control, and had 0 commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch.
Well, this afternoon, President Trump signed executive memorandums dealing with the FAA. One will undo DEI policies. The other appoints Chris Rocheleau as the agency's acting commissioner. The Air Force veteran has worked at the FAA for more than 20 years. New tonight at 10, the father of the co-pilot of Flight 5342, First Officer Sam Lilly, says his son will be remembered as a kind, happy man.
Speaking to News Nation's Chris Cuomo, Sam's dad, Tim, said his son was in the prime of his life. He was engaged and only a few months into his new job as a pilot after changing careers. His father said he used to fly helicopters back in the 90s on that same route that helicopter was on. He said he can't understand what happened, but he does have a guess.
So totally speculation on my part. If they were wearing NVGs, I've seen this before, where it's almost impossible to see an aircraft when it's backlit by a city. It's much easier if you're not wearing NVGs to see them.
NVGs are night vision goggles. Tim said he understands we won't know for months how this crash happened. Members of the Skating Club of Boston are mourning the loss of 6 of their own in the crash of American Airlines 5342.
Yeah, 2 skaters aged 13 and 16 were on their way home from Wichita, where they were taking part in U.S. Figure Skating's National Development Camp.
These skaters were invited to the development camp because of how amazing they are, the potential that they showed on the ice, and the capabilities that they had at such a young age show that they had promise for the future of this sport.
Now, in addition to the skaters, their mothers and their coaches were also on the plane.